Hello, you're watching Sightline on MNB World, an interview program that invites various guests for a conversation on important topics. And today in our studio we have Grand Circle Corporation's Director of Business Worldwide Operations, Mrs. Munkhzaya Otgon. Hello.
Hi.
Thank you for accepting our invitation.
Thank you for inviting.
Munkhzaya Otgon, a native of Sainshand soum in Dornogovi province, has established herself as a dedicated and accomplished project researcher with a focus on humanitarian and development initiatives. Her career includes Mercy Corps, where she played a pivotal role in implementing agriculture-related projects in the remote districts of Ulaanbaatar. Her work in this capacity not only supported residents but also contributed to sustainable agricultural practices in some of the most underserved areas of Ulaanbaatar. In 2011, Munkhzaya joined the U.S. Agency for International Development, where she worked on Social Protection Network project. This initiative aimed at enhancing social safety nets and improving the quality of life for vulnerable populations, underscoring her commitment to social development and protection. By 2013, Munkhzaya has expanded her expertise to civil society-related projects, contributing to the empowerment and capacity building of local communities. I would like to start our interview from your childhood. As we have been preparing for this interview, we have noticed that you work in business, tourism, human rights, law, and writing sectors. And we would like to know, how do you make your life choices? What led you to make such life choices?
Thank you for asking. It's a great question. I was born in Sainshand, Dornogovi province, and I also grew up in Ulaanbaatar province. When I was 6 months old, my mom was a student at the Agriculture University in Ulaanbaatar, so my mom left me with her parents, so I was raised by my grandparents in Bayangova soum of Ulaanbaatar province. So my childhood was really in nomadic livelihood. Since 5-year-old, I started herding animals like sheep and goats, and also like from sunset to sunrise to sunset. So I think my childhood, how I raised by my grandparents, really shaped who I am today and led me to my career path. So when I was a small child at school, while herding the animals in the countryside, I started dreaming. So my mom every summer used to give me several books to read while I am herding animals. So one of the books was very significant. I still remember how that book helped me to think different. So the name of the book was Whether the Globe is Round Shape or Flat. So I think I was in the 7th grade. So while looking at the book with a lot of pictures of the different planets and also different countries, the oceans, small girl in the Gobi Desert in the middle of nowhere, I realized that, hey, there are the countries other than Mongolia. There are oceans. Actually, in the Gobi Desert, we almost don't have any water, right? Or rivers and lakes, big ones we don't have. So I started dreaming. I want to see the different parts of the world. I want to fly, I want to meet with different people who speak different languages. At the time, we didn't even have a television at home. So the book gave me a broad picture of how the world looks like. So I think that dream led me to think big. And then after my graduation in university, I eventually joined different international non-profit organizations, namely Action Against Hunger, the French humanitarian organization. After that, Mercy Corps Mongolia, it's another non-profit organization, well-known one in the world. And then after 13 years working in non-profit sector, specifically with citizens and civil society organizations, last 11 years I have been working with the American tour operator whose name is Grand Circle Corporation. So we send American travelers over 105 countries, and I support managing Asia and Pacific regions.
As we were preparing for this interview, we have learned that you are a graduate of George Washington University in USA. And the diploma work theme was really interesting. It's like air pollution caused by corruption and the role of the state in ensuring people's rights and human rights. Can you share with us, like, from the different findings and highlights from this your research?
Yeah, because I come from a country, especially Ulaanbaatar city, which is considered as the city with the most air pollution in the world, which is a shame. So I intentionally chose this research studies. So I compared different international conventions and also different regulations in different countries, and particularly focused on China and Mongolia, because both countries we are uncomparable in terms of population, but we have similar problems with air pollution and corruption. So when I compared the studies, the first thing I noticed that, of course, there was one landmark case from London, UK. There was a 9-year-old girl whose name is Ellie. Unfortunately, she passed away because of asthma. So the mother was seeking justice for her daughter's death. So the London court finally declared that the asthma was, of course, the main cause of the death of the child, but the air pollution was the main contributory factor for her death. So this was the first significant landmark case in the world that the court recognized the wrongful action of the government, which is the excessive air pollution declared by the World Health Organization, actually
the
triggering factor for a human life. So this led to the new fundamental right by UN member states in 2021, like everyone in the world have a right to breathe clean air. So my study focused on around the right to clean air, but how the governments are implementing its duties. So specifically, if it's related with corruption, the excessive air pollution. So one of the interesting study that the best practice that China implemented since 2013, China implemented anti-corruption campaign, and they focused on corruption that is leading to increased air pollution and excessive environmental issues. They realized that the corruption can be hindering the decision makers to enforce legislations that support environment-friendly businesses, green businesses, and so on. So after 6 years of implementing the campaign, the researchers in China concluded that this campaign focused on environmental laws and also the corruption consequences actually improved the air pollution. The density of the particulate matter in the air decreased by 21% in the biggest cities of China, like Beijing, Xi'an, and things like that. So, which gives me the hope that if any government realize the air pollution is a human rights issue and it can be caused by the corruption, and if they have the focus on these two issues, it can be improved over time. So that was the positive side of my study.
You have obtained your master's degree in law, and you just mentioned that the air pollution is related to human rights. And I want to ask you something related to the human right. Currently, there are a lot of challenges the world wide is facing right now, like conflicts, war, and some fundamental basics of democracy is challenged. And therefore, I would like to ask, how do you see the democracy? How do you see the democracy in Mongolia? How do you see the status of human rights, freedom of speech in Mongolia?
So, in general, Mongolians, I think, we were very proud that we live in a democratic country, and we have made these changes very peacefully, like over 30 years ago. Unfortunately, these days, I think everyone feel kind of fear to speak up.
Pressured?
Yeah, pressured. We can see, like, from media every day, like if there is a demonstration in the main square against the government, somebody likely to be detected, right, and then questioned by the police, and then likely ending up in a prison. And it's not only the general citizens, but also the journalists, right, having these issues. So Mongolia is a democratic country. We have to protect the right to free speech. Otherwise, this is no longer the democratic country. So like if I compare how the freedom of speech work in the United States and in Mongolia, the one thing is that, of course, by free speech means it doesn't mean that we have to be, how to say, of course there could be limitations, but the government or the politicians, if they are committed to be the politician who work for the people, they have to be able to listen to the people. And then the citizens should be empowered, journalists also should be empowered to speak up for the citizens, to convey the words of the citizens. If the government is punishing the journalists and also the citizens just for raising their voices, so they would be not able to hear what's going on in the citizens, what the citizens are wanting. So as a consequence, the decision making could not be to the right direction. So if the government is committed to hear its citizens, allow the freedom of speech, actually not only the democracy, but the overall development of the country should be much better. So I think the main thing in Mongolia now need to be developed is listening to the citizens, to be able to reflect on what the citizens are saying and making the decision better.
You have been working in a U.S. company, Grand Circle, which operates in tourism sector for 11 years. And are there any pros and good experiences, good practices that can be implemented and adopted in Mongolian tourism sector?
Yeah, so I have been working in tourism sector last 11 years and work with almost 11 countries every day. So I have traveled different countries many times. So one thing now, before, like when I travel in different countries, when I say I come from Mongolia, there are many people would ask me like, where is Mongolia? I never met with Mongolian people or something like that. But now it's different. Last couple of years, I think the program implemented by the Ministry of Tourism, Ministry of Culture, it worked well to introduce Mongolia, to have Mongolia being recognized in tourism industry worldwide. That's good. But now we are trying to bring millions of travelers or tourists to Mongolia, but are we ready? That's another issue, right? So, for example, in terms of infrastructure, like general practical needs of every human being, like the access to clean toilet. You know, this is not ready for Mongolia, and also our tourism management is tough. The quality of the roads, the capacity of the tourist facilities and things like that, those are not enough. So in my opinion, we should be focusing more on the quality rather than the quantity. So I like to share the best practice from different countries, particularly Bhutan. Bhutan is a small country, very similar to Mongolia in terms of culture, and also it's located in two big neighbors like Mongolia, China, and India. Our socioeconomic situations, geopolitical situations are pretty similar. Their tourism policy is very strict and very smart, I would say. They focus on only quality, so they don't accept, for example, the people who cannot spend $250 a day. And their itinerary should be super specific. They don't allow people to travel anywhere that they want. So they strictly regulate the tourism, things like that. So it's beneficial economically for the country, and also it's a small country. They are not ready yet. So that's why they are managing it very well. So Mongolia has to adopt such kind of things like that. If we, for example, tourism is a very, it's, how to say, tourism is one of the business type that never out of trend. Every year, everyone wants to travel somewhere. And Mongolia is a very interesting country. It's a unique culture, right? So if we preserve our culture well, and there will be always people coming. So now if we maintain our reputation very well, eventually a lot of people will come year to year. If you hurry now without good preparation, without good management, it's likely that the number of comers will decrease in the future. So that's one of my concerns.
Continuing our talk about tourism industry, I have noticed that a lot of advertisement and promotion is directed to Western countries like Europe, Northern America, or Middle East. But what we notice is there are a lot of, lately there's a trend of Asian tourists. For example, tourists from China, South Korea, Japan, they travel a lot. Do you think we should market and target that market for Mongolian tourism?
Well, of course, it's good for the country economically. If more people from different countries come in, we should not discriminate people from where they are coming from. But in my opinion, for example, nowadays we're talking about to develop the tour products near the borders, cross-border products. We should be very careful with that because hundreds of Asian travelers come in to Mongolia, and having some tour products, let's say the motorcycle tours or something like that. So those can be very harmful to nature. And even hundreds of travelers, when they go into same place over time, over and over, so the surrounding area, the roads and everything is kind of overused. It creates more problem than more benefit. So before we allowing so many travelers from different countries, we have to be careful how to protect our nature, how to make these tour products nature-friendly, eco-friendly, right? So those kind of things.
Continuing our interview, you have mentioned that you have written a book called Life is Beautiful. And what led you to write this book? What was the story behind writing this book?
So Life is Beautiful is my memoir dedicated to my mom. My mom's name is Munkhzaya Otgon. She's from Gobi Desert, the Ulaanbaatar province. So my mom passed away when she was only 42 years old. So, but I was 20 years old, my brother was 5 years old. But while I was writing the book, I actually prepared different stories, at least 5-6 years. So then I realized really how my mom brought us up, already prepared us for life to overcome all the challenges. And I thought that, of course, every mom has something unique to their children, right? So this is the story of my mom, how she brought us up. So it could be useful for someone else too. So I wanted to write about the stories that shaped my life through how my mom brought me up. So my readers received the book very well. So I think this also gives some encouragement to young people that you need to write your life story, right? So everyone's story is unique. There are always something that someone else can get it from it. So I think that was one of the things. And my father is also a writer. He published at least more than 50 books. So it's kind of personal commitment to my father as well, to write something, right?
Last question of this interview is, what is your future goal? What are you looking forward? Is there any projects and program you are looking forward?
So based on, as a young person, I have two, I would say my professional experience is in a twofold. The first phase of my career was really supporting local civil society organizations and citizen groups to be able to participate in local decision making and to build the strong partnership between public, private, and civil society organizations. I worked in this field about 13 years, and second phase of my career was in the worldwide tourism sector. So then I have my academic career in human rights and also in legal sector. So combining all of these, my future career, I anticipate that I should be more contributing to the development of my country, shaping the human rights protecting and promoting human rights in the country, to really help the citizens to raise their voices, include their participation in local and national decision making, so that our country can be heading the right direction. And every young person in Mongolia should be bringing contributions in every way that we can. So I'm one small part, and I'm committed to contribute.
In other words, make society more equitable and equal, right?
Right.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for accepting our invitation and taking part in our interview program.
Thank you.
Well, that was the new episode of Sightline. We'll see you next time with more stories and updates. Have a nice day.